Hey everyone, the concept we're covering in this video is classical conditioning, and we're going to look at how to identify the different components. So classical conditioning is a form of associative learning. And here we're going to have two stimuli that are repeatedly paired so that we begin to automatically respond to a new stimulus in the same way. That's important, the same way that we already respond to an existing stimulus in our environment. So let's look at that a little bit more closely and understand what this is saying. So we've got one stimulus that is already leading to a response. All right, so we're already responding to an existing stimulus. So it's already leading to a response. And we want to repeatedly pair that stimulus with another new stimulus so that it leads to us to respond in the same way. So we want the same response to two different stimuli. So that's really what this boils down to, is we're going to pair two stimuli together to eventually get the same response. One of these already exists and one of them is going to be new. So it's the terminology that sometimes trips students up with classical conditioning, and we're going to break this down and make it super easy to remember. So if you see the word stimulus, think cue. All right, this is the cue to do something. This is the cue for a reaction or a response to occur. If you see response, think reaction. So this is that reaction to the cue. If you see unconditioned, think original. This is what is already happening before this pairing happens. So this is what's already occurring, unconditioned, original. And if you see conditioned, think new. This is what will be happening after the pairing. So this is the newly learned cue and response to that cue. It's happening after the pairing. All right, so conditioned is new, unconditioned is original. Now let's put it together and we can understand this terminology much more simply. So if we see unconditioned stimulus, we now know that that is our original cue. If we see unconditioned response, we know this is now the reaction to the original cue. All right, I'm just putting these together based on what I had below. All right, so unconditioned stimulus, original cue. All right, conditioned stimulus is our new condition, new stimulus cue. And our conditioned response is the reaction to the new cue. So that's all we have to remember to be able to understand the different components within classical conditioning. And now we already know what classical conditioning looks like. So let's look at an example. All right, so here we're being asked to identify these different components within our example. And what's happening in the example is Samantha is craving a slice of pizza every time she sees Fox's Pizzeria. But now recently, this pizzeria has adopted a new fox mascot. So now she's beginning to crave a slice of pizza whenever she sees a fox. So essentially what we've got going on here is we've paired a pizzeria and a fox so that they both lead to the same response. And we can see originally our cue for Samantha to crave pizza was the pizzeria. So this is our original. And we can see that back here. She's craving a slice of pizza every time she sees Fox's Pizzeria. And then our original cue is getting paired now with a new cue, the fox. And right now, this guy is going to be called a neutral stimulus. But the neutral stimulus will eventually become the conditioned stimulus. So this is our repeated pairing that we talked about. All right, so this pizzeria is getting repeatedly paired with this fox mascot so that eventually our fox becomes a new cue that leads to the same pizza craving. All right, so this is new. So now we can label our different components. And another way to organize this is to put it in the diagram that kind of looks like what we drew up there at the top. So remember we've got two different stimuli that are leading to the same response. So we've drawn that out a little bit more neatly down here. And we've got our two stimuli. So that's one, that's two over here on the left-hand side. The one in the top is going to be our UCS, our unconditioned stimulus. So you can remember this is the original cue. All right, and the one on the bottom, number two here, is going to be our conditioned stimulus. So you can go ahead and put those labels on there when you draw this out. And this is our new cue. So we know these are going to be repeatedly paired so that eventually they lead to the same response. All right, so our response is always what goes over here. All right, so let's look back in our example. What response are we seeing for multiple reasons, in response or in reaction to multiple cues? So she's craving a slice of pizza when she sees Fox's Pizzeria. She's craving a slice of pizza when she sees a fox. So her reaction is that she's craving pizza. So that's what goes in our response box. And now we can label these other two really quickly by asking ourselves, what was the original cue that led Samantha to crave pizza? So we can go back up here to our example, and we can see that she starts out craving pizza when she sees the pizzeria. So that's what's originally happening. So we can go put that in our original cue. It's the pizzeria. And then we ask ourselves to determine the conditioned stimulus. What is the new cue that leads to Samantha craving pizza? And we can go back up here and we see that she now begins to automatically crave pizza when she sees a fox. So seeing the fox, as we know, is our new cue. So the fox becomes the new cue to lead to her pizza craving. And then we can determine our unconditioned response and our conditioned response, how we label that based on what we've got going on here. So we know the response is craving pizza. So if we crave pizza, if she craves the pizza because she sees the pizzeria, all right, then we know that is our unconditioned response because that's what was originally happening. But if she craves pizza because she sees the fox, that's our new response. All right, we're craving pizza because we see a fox. That's our new response. So that's our conditioned response. So now we have this all mapped out. We can go down here and answer our question. So our unconditioned stimulus, we come back here. That's our pizzeria. That's what's going to be in our top box. Our conditioned stimulus, that's our bottom box. That's our fox. Our unconditioned response, our UCR, is what was occurring first, right? That was craving pizza because we saw a pizzeria. So we can write crave pizza due to seeing the pizzeria. All right, so it's our response due to the stimulus that caused it. And then for our conditioned response, our CR, we can go back up here and we can say craving pizza due to seeing the fox. All right. And so that is all we need to know to be able to label the different components within classical conditioning. So hopefully that helps you guys make more sense out of this. Follow me to our next video and we'll go through a practice problem.